What's happening, everybody?
Good.
Happy Black History Month. And you are now watching Juke Boy Sports Show. I'm your host, King Ralph, here
Yes.
with my co-host, the homie Kai.
What's good, my brother?
What's popping, brother?
All right, all right.
Right on, right on, right on, right on. And we black. We blacker than black today.
Like James Brown said, say it loud, we black and we proud.
I'm black and I'm proud.
Yeah.
But before we get this joint rolling, let's send a old shout out to the sponsors. If you want to do any type of music videos, photo shoots, podcasts like what you're watching right now, call the number on the bottom of that screen, 707 Fitboxer. And we got a lot to get into today. Tom Brady retiring, Steph in a slump. But first, we going to jump straight with Steph in the slump.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about the chef, and we're not talking about the rapper Raekwon. We're talking about Chef Curry for all these NBA fanatics, fans, and connoisseurs out here.
And looking at these numbers here, man, it's starting to look like tour dates.
Yeah.
A whole lot of 3 for 10s.
Want to run them?
2
run
for
off
10s,
some of them numbers.
1 for 9, 1 for 10, 2 for 9. Last night he was 7 for 14. But if you crunch the numbers since January 1st, he's hit 53 out of 161 three-pointers, which puts him at a whopping 33%.
Right,
now, if we're talking about LeBron, those are right about his career numbers.
Yes.
But we're talking about the chef, the greatest shooter of all time. Is this a big deal?
So initially, when you look at the numbers and you look at being the most impactful player on the court, right, especially on your team and the best player on the team and the best point guard in the West and in the league, you would say, absolutely, that is a big deal. However, in this particular case, I'm going to say it's not a big deal. Why? Because I believe that Steph Curry himself believes that as long as he doesn't lose confidence, he'll be okay. And we saw flashes of his greatness last night. His ability to, just go off hot. Shout out to Kevin Porter Jr.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
The man, the myth.
Yeah, the man, the myth, the legend. But furthermore, like we discussed before the show, the Golden State Warriors, they're still second in the Western Conference,
right, behind
a very, very good Phoenix Suns team. And this is the Golden State Warriors team that was in the play-in game last season. So now for them to play the way that they've been playing, you still have Klay Thompson, getting his feet wet, and Draymond Green being out and guys that ilk. So I'm looking at Steph Curry, and I think he'll also be okay. I actually have a quote. Now, this quote was initially from January, when his slump was really, kind of, in near the beginnings of the, slump, et cetera.
Yeah.
He said this when he was asked about his shooting percentages. He said, "They're lower than what I want. And that's going to happen from time to time. I'm never results based. So the approach and what you do going into every game remains the same, and eventually it will turn around. You just can't lose confidence." We look at all great players going through a slump of some kind. You know what I'm saying? And Steph Curry is no different, right? If they were losing games, if they were losing like 7 of the last 10 games, I would be concerned about it. But they're not. And he's been able to close out some games for them, which we highlighted in Houston. And in the game before that, he's been playing, relatively well in the fourth quarter. So I think once the All-Star break comes, he's also done a lot of work for that team early in the season as well. So once he gets his rest, his legs underneath him, things of that nature, I believe that Steph Curry would be perfectly fine.
Me personally, man, I think it's whatever.
Yeah.
For everything that you just mentioned, shooters are going to shoot.
Yep.
It's all about the one thing I learned from watching Ray Allen over the years was you got to just keep having the same consistent shooting motion. The ball's going to go in or it's not going to go in.
Yes.
Steph really shoots at a high clip. So when you look at the numbers, it's not really that big a deal because when you go and you look at how the team is responding, 11 out of 17 wins with a 65% win percentage, which is lower than what your record is, but you're still second. You got Klay back. You're waiting to get Draymond back so you can have your full team and make that real strong playoff push. So for me, it's whatever.
And they got a great depth too. So
Exactly.
All right.
And then good old Jimmy G, porn star Jimmy, strikes again.
Not Jimmy from the wheelchair, but Jimmy G.
For me, man, I'm gonna jump in on this one. I personally think this is a big deal because of you got Trey Lance in the wing and waiting for his opportunity.
Yeah,
16 completions out of 30 attempts, 232 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. The one thing that's kind of that irritated me in watching this and
Mm.
looking at this because I watched this game. He had a 71 QBR, which is
Yes.
higher than the average,
Yes.
and is actually a pretty good QBR. But when
Yeah.
you watch the game, it's like,
Mhm.
come on, dog. And we'll get into the game with a minute and 20 seconds left on the clock.
Mm.
3rd and 13.
Mm.
He throws an atrocious interception. And it just goes to show why I believe that Trey Lance will get his opportunity sooner.
Yeah.
I knew he was going to sit out this first year. He got to play some time, but he just didn't look ready. And so that's why I do think next year he'll get his opportunity, depending on how
The
training camp goes and his
training camp,
development
yeah.
and his offseason
Injuries, etc.
and all of that. And so I think it's a big deal for that one
Okay.
in particular because of they had an opportunity and they were on a 6-game win streak against the Rams and they just weren't able to pull out that victory.
Absolutely. I agree with you. I do believe it's a big deal. You know how I feel about Jimmy G. I've been on record on this show in the past when we talked about the Buccaneers and the Chiefs, and I felt like, Tom Brady, I said had Tom Brady been on that Niners team that year,
Right.
he wouldn't have, thrown the ball over and different things of that nature. There are certain types of quarterbacks, I'll keep this short, the Ryan Tannehills of the world, the Jimmy G's of the world. You can't win Super Bowls with those types of quarterbacks because at the last minute, it's those small, those finite details, that Jared Goff, right, that matter. And so that interception was just a horrible interception.
Terrible.
Shout out to Aaron Donald, though. Aaron Donald, I believe, was a part of that play. If I'm
it
not
was
mistaken. Von Miller. Okay.
Von Miller, the one that made him escape.
Yes, the pocket.
And then
he was going.
And we'll get into this later because this is the reason why you make those trades and why the stars are so much more important.
Yeah.
But on to the next one. NCAA discussing rule change to stop the faking of injuries.
Yes.
Is this a big deal?
Absolutely is a big deal. And the reason why it's a big deal is because anytime you're talking about faking injuries, you got to look at the integrity of the game. You have the integrity of the game. Then you have the fan enjoyment of the game. You have a stoppage in play, right? Yes. And so what did we get? Fans booing. Boo! We see it in NFL games. We see it in college football games. Now, this is obviously the college football, and who's to say when they're faking an injury? But apparently they believe that it's something that has been prevalent and gone on for far too long, right? So just real quick. I
actually think it's real smart.
Yeah. There's some penalties that were the people were talking about being put in place. The initial thing was there was video would be sent to a national officials committee or whatever, and then they would deliver that video to the athletic director of each college's institution, and then the athletic director would be the ones that would kind of, I guess, penalize or whatever. But for whatever reason, we don't know what the what is that supposed to do, right? So apparently it's a problem. Lane Kiffin doesn't like it, and people are talking about possibly suspending players.
He doesn't like them faking injuries.
Yeah. The new suggestions. These are suggestions, possibly a fine for the team because the players are broke for the most part.
Yeah, they're not paying the players
unless they're getting that back deal money. But anyway,
right.
And then the other one is my final point is they're talking about possibly suspending players for periods of time during the duration of the game. But if you're faking an injury, you probably ain't going back in anywhere.
Right.
But we'll see. What do you think, Ralph, on that?
I actually think it's really smart.
Yeah, okay.
But I'm more like, if these are the rules, then I can do whatever's in the construct of the rules.
Yeah.
Regardless of the integrity of the game, I could care less about all that extra unwritten rules BS, because that's a segment for its own, which I do actually want to address this next week. But with that, I actually think it's really smart.
Okay.
I actually don't have really a horse in the race.
Yeah.
The targeting rules, I think they need to get rid of that. I just want good football. That's one I really don't like if we go talk about rules.
Yeah.
But the changing the rule for a fake injury, because then it's like, how are you really going to catch someone?
Right.
Unless they back in the game the next play.
Right. They come back from the dead like Lazarus.
Right. And so it's like, I do think that I do think it's one of those things that if you're going to do it, I do think it's one of those things where if you do get hurt in a circumstance where a timeout needs to be used and you don't have timeouts,
that's another thing they're talking about.
Yes. You should miss that whole drive.
Right.
I would be cool with that.
And there's talk about possibly using awarding the other team a timeout to bring in a player that was, I guess, previously injured or whatever
Right.
back into the game
Right.
as well. So it's going to be interesting. The meeting's on March 1st, so we'll be on the lookout to see what comes of that. All right.
And last but not least, many people say he's the GOAT. He's still not the GOAT in my personal opinion.
In his personal opinion, I'm about to say.
In my personal
In
opinion.
his personal opinion.
I think it's one of them. But I do think it's a big deal with Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Because of when he went to the Buccaneers, he immediately put them into Super Bowl contention.
Yeah.
With him retiring, there's a plethora of teams that could have used a Tom Brady to get to the next level that are not going to have that opportunity. So the domino effect, now it goes from Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers being possibly the best two quarterbacks in football, where they're fighting for the MVP spot. Now one dips after possibly he might even win an MVP on his way out the door.
I was going to say.
And Aaron Rodgers being left as the top two. They're both fighting for an MVP position, but also at that same spot, Aaron Rodgers could leave and go to another team. So does he go to the Buccaneers? Yeah. Does he go to where the next topic is going to be, a Denver?
Yeah.
Does he go to the 49ers, who passed up on him?
I don't think he'll go to the 49ers.
I don't think he would go there, but I'm just saying.
Especially after they beat him.
Right. I don't see that happening, but it is one of those things where it's. But to get back on topic, I think it's a really big deal.
Yeah.
7 Super Bowls, 20 amazing seasons with the Patriots, put them on the map. Robert Kraft bought them for, what was it, like $150 million or something like that. Now they're like worth $8 billion.
I was gonna say a penny in a box of cigarettes.
Right.
$150 million is more than what I've ever made in my life. So
but it's still compared to what it's worth now. It's like $8 billion now.
Yeah, billions is ridiculous.
And so all of the people that are Patriots fans now, they were not Patriots fans 20 years ago.
That's true. Nobody was checking for the Patriots like that.
Not at all. When they had Drew Bledsoe, nobody. I didn't know one Patriot fan.
People was Rams fans back then.
Yes.
Hella Rams fans.
Yes.
Even in Baltimore, you got Rams fans, bro.
Right.
Kurt Warner, Marshall Faulk, Torrey Holt.
Greatest show on turf.
So.
And so, like, I do think it's a big deal. It is sad to see when you get to, like, as much stuff as I talk about LeBron, it's going to be, when you get those greats. Yeah. And you just, some of the enjoyment is the enjoyment of rooting against them.
Yeah.
And so it is sad. It is sad to see. I'm not crying over here. My eyes is watering. Got allergies. And I'm gonna let you take over.
All right, man. So Lamar Jackson's the GOAT. But anyway, no, but I believe we all know how Ralph feels. You know what I'm saying? I tell Ralph all the time, the worst lie is the one we tell ourselves. But no, I believe that Tom Brady is the GOAT. My thing is, I don't believe that he's the greatest football player of all time. Yeah. Which, when people do that and they compare to Jordan and everything. But I have no problem with Tom Brady. I wasn't a fan when I was a kid. I became a fan when I actually got older and became an adult. Because I think with Tom Brady, just keep it short, because I think he can be summed up in 3 words, right? A competitor, the ultimate competitor, right? Level of preparation unmatched, and his unparalleled psychotic desire for excellence. That's what made him. I think it was the intangibles that put him or made him usurp over some of these other quarterbacks. You know what I'm saying? But in terms of like talent, and obviously you have the Aaron Rodgers, the Mahomes, the Dan Marinos of the world, which I know we both like. Yeah. But Tom Brady, shout out to his excellence. We wish you the best of luck. Hopefully you don't, go into the distance and disappear. We would love to see you maybe commentate or just give your opinion on things, because there's a lot of knowledge in the game that he has to share.
At least do a podcast.
So at least do a podcast
or something like that.
Invite us. All right.
Right. I'll take that invite.
Yeah, Ralph had to call you the GOAT though. So
no.
Especially
if I ever got to meet him, I'm definitely telling him who I think.
Man. He was like, Tom, is that you? It's not Jesus. No. All right, let's move on.
But like I mentioned before, Aaron Rodgers there's a possibility. There's room.
Yeah.
He's going to be a free agent. They need a quarterback. Can you see it happening?
No, I can't. I can't either. Yeah, I think he's going to your division because the OC familiarity, right? Peyton went to familiarity, and I think he's trying to do what Peyton did: go to Denver, bring Denver a Super Bowl, bring Devontae Adams with him.
Well, you just said you don't see it happening, but I just said Denver.
Oh, I thought you said, oh, my bad, guys. I thought you were saying the Bucks. I thought you said the
bro, I'm
Bucks. 'cause
confused, bro.
I was kind of feeding off what you said in the
no.
previous topic. My apologies. Yes, I could see that happening. Yeah, I definitely could see that happening.
Okay.
But I heard news that Devontae Adams, this is just some news, that the Packers were looking to franchise tag him. You hear that as well?
I have
Potential
not. I
franchise
have not
tag?
heard that, but
Okay.
I have. I
But
mean,
nothing's set in stone.
it would definitely make sense.
Yeah, exactly. You don't
Because
want him
then,
to go.
he's definitely gonna leave if you don't.
Yeah. But him and Aaron Rodgers,
but the franchise tag, from what I've heard about the franchise tag now, they've even opened it up to where they could still leave. You just got to compensate them for which, if I'm getting a Devontae Adams,
facts.
Here you go.
But to get back on like with Aaron Rodgers, Denver has a solid defense. They have good weapons there, and a Cortland Sutton and a Jerry Jeudy, a supreme route runner, right? He would be an upgrade. He's a ceiling raiser, something that Teddy Bridgewater is not. My only cause for pause with Aaron Rodgers, and this is why I actually thought Tom Brady should have returned, right? But obviously he's well in his own power to make his own decisions going to the Bucks, is in the AFC. The AFC is now the toughest conference in football with I would assume the best teams. Now, obviously, maybe a team like the Rams win the Super Bowl this year or something like that.
Right.
With the AFC, you have the top flight quarterbacks in a Patrick Mahomes, in a Josh Allen, and Lamar Jackson, now a Joe Burrow emerging, a Justin Herbert emerging, right? So you have a lot of those teams there, and I just feel like, and then you're going to the Patrick Mahomes conference, his division, right?
True.
So if you go to the NFC, I'm kind of looking at it like, it can be had, right? Because only the Rams in the NFC West are probably the real threat, right? Cowboys are kind of frauds. So if I'm Aaron Rodgers, in the back of my mind, I would still look at the Bucks, but I believe, like you said, the Denver Broncos ultimately will be the winner in the end, I believe, in terms of the sweepstakes for Aaron Rodgers. So we'll see.
Yeah, I'm kind of interested to see what happens with that. Definitely one of those days where I can see it happening because he already plays in a frozen tundra. Now the elevation is going to be one thing to try to get used to.
Yeah, that's true.
But we've seen Peyton Manning do it.
Yeah, that's true.
So I could definitely see it happen. They have a plethora of wide receivers. Where before Jamar Chase went to the Bengals, Ocho Cinco was quoted saying that they have 3 number ones.
Yeah, Cortland Sutton's 6'4" too, and
right.
it could catch and do everything. Jerry Jeudy, we know.
Jerry Jeudy, and then what was it? Is it KJ Hamler that's over there?
Yeah, KJ Hamler, and he
and then Noah Fant.
Noah Fant, the tight end.
Right.
You would have a tight end again.
And then they got old boy from North Carolina at running back.
You have Melvin Gordon. You have what's other dude?
I think it's some Williams is what I want to say.
Yeah,
is it Devontae Williams?
I was thinking Devontae Booker, but no, you're right.
Booker. Devontae Williams?
It might be Devontae Williams. But they have he'll be the second year, sophomore running back.
True.
Yeah.
And he was balling.
Yeah.
With Melvin Gordon to back him up.
Yep. And they can always add more pieces to that offense, to that defense.
Young defense.
Yeah.
Young defense. As long as they don't have to give up, like they don't have to trade for Aaron Rodgers, they could just get Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
I could definitely see him coming in right away and being a Super Bowl contender.
Yes.
I probably would even put them at favorites, honestly.
And I'm still going to
with those plethoras of weapons.
I'll still pick another team though.
What for? Yeah. Super Bowl.
I don't like him in the AFC though. That's all. That's all. I think they'll be good.
In your division?
No, he's in your division, bro.
In your conference?
Yeah, that too. But
not in my division.
I think he'll win 13 games, but I think in the playoffs, like, I just don't like him going up against those quarterbacks. I don't believe he's declined, but I just feel like with this young man's league, man. It's
possible.
It's possible.
Very much possible.
But we'll see.
We'll see.
Right. It's early.
It is really early. It's mad early. And so on to the AFC, NFC conference. Yes. I'm going to take the NFC conference, and I'm going to let you take the AFC.
All right.
So you want to go first? You want me to go first?
You go first, man.
All right.
You're the one who was stuck with the Rams the whole way.
Hey, I actually did. I'm proud of myself, too, man. Yeah. And I was this close to having both sides correct. But
you were.
I've also picked the Rams. Going into the season, I picked the Rams. When they got Matt Stafford, I was like, oh, yeah, they win the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So I'm going to rock with them we're going to talk about the winning of the Super Bowl, who's winning the Super Bowl another time. Strictly talking about the games here. I do think that going into it, there was some pause because of the 6, like I mentioned before in a previous segment, it was a 6-game losing streak.
Yeah.
To the 49ers. McVay losing to Shanahan. Rams losing to the 49ers. I think they lost twice. They lost both games this year. So Matt Stafford was really only there for 2 of the losses.
Yeah.
But if you look at go back, watch the game, and then even look at the stats, it's a tale of one of those things where your stars got to play big.
Yes.
And I think for the 49ers, their stars were able to keep them in the game while the defense was playing pretty well, because the Rams weren't able to. They put up some big numbers, but their stars didn't really put their big play didn't result in touchdowns. So Odell Beckham goes 9 for 113, no touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
Cooper Kupp had a touchdown, and he went 11 receptions for 142 yards. Matt Stafford threw for 337 and had 2 touchdowns. And so it's crazy when you sit there and you look at it, because it's like like I mentioned before, Jimmy G had a 71 QBR, right. Matt Stafford had a 62 QBR, and it's like, how?
Yeah.
How? And it's like when you watch and you go back and you look, he had big play after big play, big arm throw. But when it came down to it, Aaron Donald and Von Miller, when a play needed to be made, a play was made.
Yes.
And that's where I think that the game boiled down to, because when you look at Deebo Samuels only had 98 all-purpose yards.
Yeah.
1 touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
George Kittle had 2 receptions for 27 yards with 1 touchdown.
Yes.
So your 2 big name all-pro bowlers they didn't really put their imprint on the game like you would expect. Now, at that point, because of that, now you have to make Jimmy G a willing participant, where we talked about this before. Everybody has been criticizing him, and you make him, instead of just pulling up for the credit without having to actually participate in the project, now he has to do most of the project. Now you see the result.
Yes. They protect him for the most part.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so I do think that they did a really good job. That was one of the things I was watching the game with Tar. Shout out to Tar. And we're sitting there watching the game, and I'm like, everything that Deebo Samuels does, I don't care where he is on the field, that's where I'm sending my defense to.
Yeah, because you take him away, okay, it's
exactly.
the tight end, and that's it.
It's George Kittle.
Because Elijah Mitchell wasn't getting going like that.
And I'm not throwing any shade to George Kittle.
Right. Oh, no.
But
it's just one guy you got to
when
stop.
it comes to game plan,
yeah.
If George Kittle beats me, George Kittle beats me.
Right. It's not Travis Kelce.
Right.
But he's in that next tier.
Exactly. You know? Exactly. And that's where I think that when it comes down to it, that's where the difference between the drop off from a Kelce to a Kittle is Kelce can beat you by himself. Like, he can take something to the house like that. You know what I'm saying? And I just think Kittle is going to move the chains. He's going to have a big play down the field, but he's not going to – those plays are not going to result in touchdowns.
And he's going to be a run blocker. And so when you look at what you were saying about, taking away Deebo Samuel, the 49ers, they want to run the ball. So they're going to have George Kittle in there for run blocking as well at times. And so if he's there, that takes away another passing option for Jimmy G. Right?
Exactly.
So you're still trying to protect Jimmy G at all costs by using Kittle in that kind of format.
Right.
So yeah, I definitely agree with you there, man.
And that's why I think that for all of those reasons, that's why the Rams came out with a victory. Jimmy G is just too turnover prone.
Yeah.
I do think it's time to graduate him.
A little bit too pedestrian.
Exactly.
In this era of
especially when you don't have an overwhelming amount of talent, your quarterback has to uplift the talent that you have, and I don't think that he can do it. I never thought that he could do it. I just thought he was like, if you got a bunch of talent around you, like when he first got there,
right,
then you're good. But then now, when you only really have Deebo Samuels and George Kittle, and he got to go out there and make a play, I'd rather make my trying to figure out the phrase I want to use, but I'd rather ride with Trey Lance.
Trey Lance, yeah,
for the future, the future of the
first round pick.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Hey, that was really well, broken down. Great analysis of that game. I enjoyed it. I just want to say first and foremost,
a good game.
All those games were great.
Yes.
We do believe that the Super Bowl was probably played in the AFC.
True.
with the Bills and the Chiefs. But this Super Bowl coming up could be fun, right?
Yes.
And so now that
I
we
think it's gonna be a lot of point scoring in
Yeah.
the Super Bowl.
so now to get to the AFC side of the football,
Yeah.
the Joe Burrow Bengals, the LSU Bengals, Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. This was a great win for them, and I say it's a great win because while yes, Patrick Mahomes came and he pretty much put up about 21 points in the first half alone, right? They were scored 3 straight touchdowns. They were clicking. They were at home, and the Bengals were really behind the 8 ball in this game.
Definitely
However,
a tale of two halves.
it was the momentum. Yes, we always say games are not won in the first half for the most part, right?
True.
It's a tale of 2 halves. It's a tale of 4 quarters. And so I know we both watched the game, and that stop when they stopped Tyreek Hill when he was dancing around doing a little bit too much, trying to spin and get cute for the first down. When they got stopped, the momentum. I text my boys, it's like, yo, the Bengals are in this.
Right.
We've seen this before, when you're down 11 points and they were able to come back. And so this is a really great game because they did a good job of the Chiefs defense of neutralizing a Jamar Chase, and then CJ Uzama got injured for the Bengals and go like, okay, well, now he's hurt. Okay. So now where do you go? Do you rely on the run game and Joe Mixon, getting guys like Joe Mixon involved, getting guys like Tyler Boyd involved? But I want to give some shout out to the defense because we talk about Joe Burrow so much, but Trey Hendrickson, he was an animal. He
Everywhere.
was a beast. He was the one person that you had to account for, right?
Exactly.
And so he was getting about a sack a game. I believe he was 5th in the NFL in sacks this season.
Yeah, 15.
Yes. So he was great, and I feel like he was a true difference maker. And so then now you make Patrick Mahomes lose some of his confidence. You play back, and you saw 3 straight plays where he just looked horrible. In the waning minutes of the game, waning seconds of the game. Excuse me. They go to overtime. They win the toss. Obviously, you have the interception. It should have been picked twice, quite frankly.
He threw 2 back. One should have been a pick 6.
Yeah, or as our boy Tar says, an Oregon duck. He throws an
Yes.
Oregon duck. Every single game. Patrick Mahomes has that stat where he has the most interceptable passes thrown, at least one of them every game. But it's just a matter of catching the football. If you're the defensive backs.
I've heard he throws the ball hard and makes it hard for the defense to catch.
And at the end of the day, because obviously you're in the AFC West, so gunslingers. You have the Phillip Rivers of the world, things like that. That's what you have. What happens when you have a gunslinger of a quarterback? Not saying you can't win with them, but all gunslingers are going to give you one of those things. So I'm looking at that, and I think the Cincinnati Bengals. I think they're a very talented team. I think Joe Burrow, his confidence permeates through that. And I think it's going to be a good matchup. But I also want to highlight some of that defense, and I think the defense really did a great job of stepping up. And I want to say this win was a little bit more for me on the defensive side of the ball than necessarily the offensive side of the ball.
Oh, true. Because at the end of the day, you can keep scoring to come back, but if your defense isn't getting stops, none of that matters.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, I'm just me personally. I always say when I'm presented with new information, I'll change my opinion if I truly believe that's where I want to go. Yes, in overtime, if you play defense, you can win.
Sure.
Because we talked about the overtime rules, and I was like, yeah, they didn't even change the rules. I was like, play defense, but there is still. But defenses still can be tired though.
True. I think they need to change the rules.
It could be both.
And I seen a homie of mine post on Facebook. I know he was just trolling.
He was taking shots at you indirectly.
But at the end of the day, it's like even with the new rules, the Bengals still would have won.
Oh, there we go. So all right,
because you gave both teams an opportunity. One team threw a pick.
Yeah, that's true. And the kicker.
And then the kicker won the game.
Evan McPherson, what is he, 9 for 9 now?
Something like that.
And he's a rookie, man. Ice in his veins. But
and he'd be walking up like, can't believe we're going to the Super Bowl.
Oh, no, right. Man.
Like, bro, you got to make this field goal first. Be quiet.
He's trying to be the new Matt Stover, the new Justin Tucker, the new Adam Vinatieri.
Can't believe we're going to the Super Bowl,
we're
bro.
Going to the Super Bowl? The Super Bowl? Yeah, so but great games for
going to Disney World.
Both conferences, man. It could have went either way, but your Rams made it. You know what I'm saying? And the LSU Bengals, the pick that I had picked. And I also want to say this true story. I did say it, my bold prediction. I didn't say it on this podcast. My bold prediction was, I was telling Tar and Adrian, some of our other friends. I said the LSU Bengals, right? I call them the LSU Bengals. They don't really care. Like they care, but it's like they're just playing, they're so
kind of playing with house money.
Yeah, that they could make it to the AFC Championship game. But what I put money on, right, is never my bold prediction. And my bold prediction actually wound up happening. So there we go.
I mean, you picked them to win the game. So I give you
But you picked the Rams all the way, man. So there we go.
I should have put money on them to make it to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I'm gonna get you a special a suite with Kawhi and PG at the next Rams game.
But on to the, I think what we got. We done ran through a lot of stuff. We got some all-star
NBAs.
snubs.
Yes.
And we got a lot of time, so we could talk about more than just one.
All right. You want to set it off? Should I set it off for a little bit?
For me, I think it is atrocious to the fact that both teams that are first in their respective conferences they don't have any all-star starters.
Yeah. Starters of the all-star game, representatives of their teams.
Which is one of those things where I just because you have the best team doesn't necessarily make you an all-star starter. But when you think about the teams that are in first, you got the Miami Heat who are in first. Obviously, Jimmy Butler should be a starter.
Yeah.
Then you go and you have the Phoenix Suns. Between Ayton, Chris Paul, and Devin Booker, one of them should be a starter.
Absolutely.
And then when you go and you look now on the East, I'm not really upset that none of them are starter, because it's like
you have a lot of injured guys.
It's not even really that. Honestly, it's like you just think about the players that's in the starting lineup.
Oh, you like the Giannis is the world.
Yeah, you got Giannis, you got KD, you got Joel, you got Ice Trey, and you got DeMar DeRozan. Now, DeMar DeRozan is one of the ones where you can maybe argue at that point, but how he's playing this season is there's no arguing that. So it's like when you look at Ice Trey, he's averaging 27.7 points a game, 28 points a game pretty much. 4.1 rebounds and 4 rebounds, 9.3 assists, 9 assists pretty much. So you got 28, 4, and 9 with a 25 PER. How am I supposed to take that out?
I think if you play devil's advocate, right, or not even devil's advocate, but an opposing viewpoint, is Charles Barkley's viewpoint, right? Now, whether or not you agree with it, Charles Barkley is the mindset, and he said this over and over, and again, it was your record should matter somehow. Now, my thing is, it's a team sport, because remember we had this issue with Bradley Beal.
Yes.
And Bradley Beal and his fiance or et cetera. You know, I'm not quite exactly sure, but was it last year or the year before when he got snubbed? They're like, hey, look, I should be in here. And Charles Barkley was like, your team sucks. That's pretty much what he said, because Charles Barkley was blunt. He's like, how are you an all-star when your team sucks? You can't get your team. But the thing is like he uses like MVP rules. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
And I don't think it's the same.
It's not the same. But it's a fan vote too.
Right.
So people want to see Trey. I was actually more shocked that LaMelo, with all due respect, I know the Hornets are we're like 7 right now, but LaMelo Ball, as popular as he is, and he was getting votes, I actually thought he could sneak in as a starter, and I wouldn't mind seeing him as a starter because I wanted to see it. I wanted to see it.
I think he'll be a reserve.
Yeah, he'll be a reserve, but I still wanted to see it.
But as a starter, no, not when I just told you them numbers, and I haven't even got. And I didn't even get to DeMar DeRozan. DeMar DeRozan is at 26.4 points.
Yeah,
pretty much 26 points a game, 5 rebounds, 5 assists with a 24.
That's true.
PER. And then KD is 29 before he got hurt, 29 points, 7 assists, and 6 assists with a 26 player efficiency rating.
How do you feel about James Harden?
I actually had him
because KD's been hurt, Kyrie hasn't been playing, but James Harden's been inconsistent.
If you look at his numbers,
but
though, his numbers is impeccable. 23 points, 10 assists, and 8 rebounds with a 22
Nash
player efficiency
system that he's always in.
But
it's good.
But at the end of the day, I mean, like, you still got to go out there and hoop. It don't matter what system you're in. You still got to go hoop.
No, you got to hoop. But should he be a starter?
I don't think he should be a starter because he plays in the East.
Yeah.
Like, that's why I said when it comes to the East and the players that are already starters versus the players in the East that were snubbed.
Yeah.
Like, if DeMar gets in and if DeMar doesn't get in and Zach LaVine doesn't get in, then I would be upset.
Okay.
Because I'm like, for a lot of the season, we've been first in the East. So one of them two deserves to get in, if not both of them. So the fact that both of them didn't get in, but when I go and look at Ice Trey's numbers,
Ice Tray.
I'm just like I know his team is 10th in the East, so maybe
Yeah.
I feel like he should lose some points for that because your play isn't affecting wins.
But people want to see Ice Tray. So
Right.
that's because my thing is the All-Star game route for me personally, and people will say, well, I hate you type of voters. But my thing is I used to do the numbers thing, but then I was like, I'm be honest, like, and maybe you do this too, but if I know LeBron's going to the All-Star game every year,
I'm not gonna root him.
I'm not voting for
him.
I'm not voting for LeBron, and I'm not
No.
voting for Curry. Like, you guys
No.
are in there. I'm
Yeah.
wasting votes for someone
True.
else who I might want to see who may be deserving because
Right.
it's supposed to be the star of stars, right?
Yes.
So I like to vote for other people. I want to see Ja Morant. This is Ja Morant's first All-Star game.
Right.
I think
I
Ja
voted
Morant,
for Ja.
Yeah, I think he's a starter. He's they're top 3 in the freaking Western Conference and went on a 10-game win streak. And just after last night, I mean, I know he missed those free throws. Look, okay, stars. Ja Morant, he made a Magic Johnson type pass last night. Okay, he's making crazy layups, right? He's dunking on fools. He's catching alley oops. I want to see that.
He has better numbers than Steph Curry, and a higher player efficiency rating. So it's like for someone like that. That's why I said when you get to the West, now it's a bigger.
Yeah, now we're
more,
going to get into the snubs.
You have
West
a little
now.
bit more of a conversation to have here.
I definitely think Josh should,
because you have someone like Andrew Wiggins. No disrespect to bros, but 18 points. He's not even averaging 20.
The way you said that, I'm sorry, man.
18 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists.
Yeah.
And he has a 16.6 PER player efficiency rating.
You look like you want to take away some of that guaranteed money, even though he's playing well this season.
He's playing well.
You talking about All-Star though.
He's playing well. But if I'm gonna put him in All-Star contention, every one of those stats that I just mentioned is lower than his career average.
I got a question. Now that he's in a complimentary role, right, or a second, third player role, do you believe he's a star on that team, though? Or do you just feel like he's a role player on that team?
He's a role player.
Okay. No, that's why
because it's not like they have 4 stars.
Right.
It's just when you go from having to be the star on your team to now he's a really good role player.
Right. Because he hasn't shown that he's a star on the team that he was on previously. Right. But he's playing great basketball right now. Right. We're giving him credit for that.
Yes.
So it's just interesting to think because I know a lot of people are saying shout out to Andrew Wiggins and different things, but he's at the small forward position, I believe, right?
Right.
They're putting up the 2. So snubs, when we look at the West, I know you have some notes there, and I have some notes there as well. Devin Booker was the one guy that stood out for me. Look, man, Devin Booker, I know people feel about him in the pickup game in basketball. They still talk about that years later, right?
Right.
But Devin Booker, this is a guy that people were comparing to. I'm not saying he is because he's my favorite player of all time. And hell no, he's not. But they were comparing him to Kobe Bryant during the playoffs because of the mid-range and all this other stuff.
I was gonna say, he's a bucket getter, but he's nowhere near the defender.
Nowhere near. Not even, and he's a bucket getter, but Kobe's skill set was just at 21, 22 was ridiculous. But the fact is, he's averaging.
I think he's a better natural shooter, though.
He is.
Basketball.
Yeah, he is. Just like Kyrie is which is, that's a whole nother situation, right? The type of shots he takes and he shoots at high efficiency was scary at his size. But Devin Booker, 25 points per game, 5 rebounds per game, 4 assists per game, 38% from the 3-point line. But more than that, he's on the number 1 team in the NBA, the Phoenix Suns, and he's gotten better defensively. He's not locked down, but they have effort. He's giving effort, right?
Yeah, you can't deny his effort.
CP3, we know what he can do. Mikal Bridges, they have Bismack Biyombo to further, that, and JaVale McGee and Ayton. So the Suns are second in defensive efficiency rating, and yes, Devin Booker contributes to that rating as a team because it's based off the team. So I'm like, if you're on the best team in the NBA and you're arguably the best player, if you're not, I say he's the best player on that team, but Chris Paul's the most valuable player on that team, right? CP3, Devin Booker. I'm looking at some of these guys, and I'm like, how can you have the best team in the NBA yet have no stars, no all-star starters? Like, what are we talking about? And then obviously we get into the Luka Doncics of the world, and how do we feel about that? Should Luka be starting over Steph? I know Steph's the fan favorite. I personally rather see Steph start, but should he be starting over Steph Curry?
No,
I don't believe so either. But that's
not when your team.
Yeah,
your team was playing like trash. You showed up out of shape.
Exactly. He was doing the Zion thing earlier.
And then your team started playing good without you. And then when
Mm.
you came back, now they're talking about the one thing I wanted to bring up before that I did kind of want to give credit to Jason Kidd.
Okay.
We had talked about the Mavs I say last week or the week before
Yes. The last week we did our power rankings, I believe.
that. And
Yeah.
they went from they're fourth in total defense right now.
Yeah.
And I think that
It's
is
impressive.
the biggest tale of the change and why they could possibly contend better, as well as taking the ball and adding Jalen Brunson into the starting lineup to take the ball out of. Now, Luka still averages 25.6, 9 rebounds and 9 assists
Right.
a game. So it's like
Porzingis stepped up too.
so he's still balling
Yeah.
and doing what he does, but his usage rate is lower.
Yes. Yeah, the ball's not always in his hand. Jalen Brunson's been a great find, scoring wise. You have guys willing to take charges on that team.
Exactly.
And the key for the Dallas Mavericks is getting out that first round.
Exactly.
They've never got a really good draw in playing the Clippers, obviously. But then the Clippers, the Mavs are no pushover for them. They push them 7 games, seems like almost every season.
Right.
You know, it's just Kawhi to the rescue every time, you know, having to bail his team out. So, I definitely agree with you. I piggyback on you with Jason Kidd's impact on that team, man. It's impressive. But we're in agreement that Steph Curry should start.
Steph should definitely start. Plus, it's Steph Curry. We want to see Steph.
We want to.
The one thing that did throw me off, I was expecting if they weren't going to go with, because at first I was just like, all right, who's going to play at the 3? I was like, you got to play Luka.
Right. Because you had people injured. You had no PG,
right?
No Kawhi,
right?
No Bron's hurt now,
right?
Bron might play the 4 or 5, 3, but he's not. He's probably going to still be hurt,
right? And so I had LeBron at the 4 when I did my vote.
Who'd you have at the 5? Jokic, right?
Jokic, yeah.
Okay,
no. Actually, I had LeBron at the 3 when I did my vote.
Initially,
I had so my vote. I had Cat at the 4. Jokic at the 5, LeBron at 3, and then I had Ja and Steph.
So they ain't gonna run no type of transition offense. I'm messing with you,
bro. They finna be running.
It's gonna be Ja and pick and roll, man.
Outlet. That transition offense was finna. It was either gonna be LeBron, get the ball to LeBron on the break, or Jokic with the outlet.
Nobody won the vote for young B.I. Brandon Ingram. That's why, because everyone saw LeBron, they saw a drop off. Like, man, and B.I. is nice, but like you play for the Pelicans. Man.
Yes, right.
That's why.
Yeah, I couldn't root because your play's really not helping the team.
Facts. And see, this is a great thing, right? Just think about this, right? Had Zion been in shape and not injured, right? You could be seeing a Ja Morant and Zion in the Western Conference.
Right. That would be hard.
2 draft picks. Former AAU teammates in the NBA All-Star game. That'd be great South for Carolina fun boys. Narrative, right? I really wanted to see Lonzo and LaMelo, but that's 2K. So
right.
Yeah.
I mean, Lonzo could have made a reserve role.
He could have made a reserve, but I wanted to be the starter, man. I was greedy. I was like, come on, man.
Not with Ice Tray.
Yeah. Bro, you gotta stick up for your Bulls, man.
Not with Ice Tray, bro. Like, and not like if Levine don't make it, he certainly ain't make it.
Levine is just another guy to some people. I feel like that's the narrative on him still. I think. I mean,
don't get it, man. He's a hoop. Like when you look at his numbers compared to anybody else, even his player efficiency rating. Right. And I'm not even really like, I know I keep bringing up the player efficiency rating, but that's just, and I'm not an analytics guy, but I bring it up strictly to make a point of how efficient.
Yes,
he is. He's scoring 25 points a game. He pretty much has DeMar DeRozan stats, except for his is 4.8 and 4.6 assists, where DeMar's is literally five rebounds and then five assists. And then and then he has like 1 point less.
Absolutely. I believe what it is Ralph, is like we always talk about. Playoffs are where your legacies are kind of established. Yeah. And I feel like now that they'll be in the playoffs this year, unless they have some drastic drop off from like top 3 to 10. Right. And Levine's been hurt, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he's back.
I believe that if Zach LaVine exudes a level of, takes his game to even the next level in the playoffs, closes some games out in the playoffs, plays a Miami Heat, plays a Brooklyn, and just performs extremely well. But I think that's where, people will highlight. But at some point, people are going to like who they like,
True. I think with health, man, that'll be decide how far we go.
Yeah.
Health.
Yeah, definitely for you guys.
Health, and then I really like Pat because Pat can legit guard 4s,
Mhm.
all the way down to the best ball handler.
Absolutely.
And that's one thing that I like, that versatility. He's a 3-and-D guy,
Yeah.
young player, second-year player. So we'll see what happens once we get him back.
Every time you talk about Pat, you know which Pat I think about, though, right? Pat Bev.
I'm not talking about him.
The dead homie, man. Pat Bev.
Mr. West Side
Hey,
Chicago himself.
The low budget GP, Gary Payton, man.
Mr.
Hey, man.
West Side. He looked like,
Oh,
not-
man.
no,
He's
no
from
sh-
Chi too.
yeah,
You know,
no
he's from
shade,
Chi.
no shade to the West
He
Side.
was
but
on the block,
He
too.
just looked like a West Side dude.
He was on the block too, man. They did an ESPN documentary on his upcoming, man. Yeah, he's from the Chi, man.
Yeah.
Shout out to Pat Bev, man. Dead homie, man.
But
All right.
we got one last one, man, and
All right.
I actually was really looking forward to this one because it is a topic of conversation I've heard people talk about. Is it time to remove the dunk contest from the All-Star weekend?
Huh?
And-
Voice.
And that's for me, man, where I just really disagree with it. Unless you're going to, if you're not going to bring certain stuff back that I enjoyed watching
Yeah,
as a kid,
like NBA Live.
nah, then keep that going. But like we talked about, the three, like the WNBA player, a legend, and a current player
Yeah.
from,
The
let's
legends.
just pick 5 teams, and you go and you got to hit a jumper at the
three-point shooting.
at the different spots on the court, and then now they can even extend it because certain players have that range now,
Yes.
to where now you can even make it you can extend those spots on the court. And I think that would be pretty dope. If you're not gonna bring those back and you're just gonna take away, I'm only in favor of replacing it with something, because as a person, like as a kid, like I don't know, at a certain point I think of things when I was a kid, and I couldn't wait for All-Star Weekend.
Yeah.
So if they're doing what they're trying to do to make the game more enjoyable, they should try to do something to make the weekend more enjoyable. Like, I've come to realize that for like the rookie game, we don't even watch the game live anymore.
Yeah.
It's literally a previously recorded version of the game by the time we're watching that game. I enjoyed watching that.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the skills challenge. I enjoyed the part where I was just talking about with the legend, the WNBA player, and the current player. I enjoyed the 3-point shootout. Now it's getting to a point where we look forward to the 3-point shootout before we look forward to the dunk contest. So I just think they got to find something to where they make it more enjoyable, because of the most legendary not 3-point, but dunk contests. You think of who are the ones that we go back to Dr. J, who's the star of all the stars jumping from the free throw line. Then you got Mike with the gold chain versus Dominique Wilkins. You got Dominique Wilkins versus a no-name Spud Webb.
Man, no name Spud Webb, man.
But I'm just saying, like at that time, that's just it's just the fact of it, of what it was. It was you need stars in order to bring out the other people. Like if you got a Nate Robinson versus a Dwight Howard. Like you need the star in order to get the other person, because Nate Robinson wasn't no star.
You mean you don't need a Glenn Robinson III?
Exactly. You don't need no Jeremy Evans and Glenn Robinson III.
Glenn Robinson III, man. I was like, man, do you remember that contest? Nah, nope. I don't. And remember that one? I think John Wall was in that. Was horrible. That he won. He did a good dunk. Yeah. But like he was the only one.
I seen the one you need multiple stars in it. Like I would love to see, like we were talking about before on the way here. I would love to see John Morant in a dunk contest.
I think he'll do it. I don't know if he's going to do it this year though.
Right.
We'll see.
I would like Anthony Simons.
Yeah.
A great player now. He's balling out in CJ and in Dame's absence. Now him winning last year, he's another person that would be dope. I seen Cole Bennett is in it, and he's a good young player.
Absolutely.
Had a lot of hype coming out of high school, and then his team in college was trash, and then he's just on a bad team now. But I'm interested to see that. Although I didn't really look at him as a dunker.
Yeah. Well, but the only one pushback I would say is at the time, Levine and Aaron Gordon, they weren't stars when they did it, but they were just young, exceptional.
They were very strong. They were very good. They were very athletic young players.
Yeah, we knew their athletic profile. Yeah. I think for me though, and at least I can speak for myself, right? I knew Aaron Gordon in high school was dunking on everyone. He was just dunking on everyone, so I knew he was a dunker, but he was a power dunker or so. I thought he was just power.
Right.
But what he displayed in that dunk contest for Zach LaVine, which a lot of people thought he got robbed in, I gave it to LaVine, but
He
I get
definitely
it.
got robbed with.
I gave it to LaVine,
that
but
other one.
I was being biased, probably biased. But it was fun
Yes.
because this dude literally was sitting in, bro. He was sitting in the air.
True.
I've never seen someone just sit in the air like that.
True.
They was doing the
At
Jordan
that size too.
the Jordan Klingon or whatever his name is. I'm referencing like Star Trek names or something. I don't know.
Right.
But I don't know what it is. But the Jordan Klingon, whatever his dude's name is, he was doing those top dunks in the dunk contest versus LaVine. And LaVine, LaVine he's bouncy. He's a pogo stick.
Yes.
He bounces like a pogo stick.
True.
That to me, with all due respect to Vince Carter, for me personally, that was the greatest dunk contest that I saw just off the strength of the evolution of the skill. Where Vince Carter, for me, just as an individual dunker, like because it was him, because T-Mac's a great dunker.
It was Vince Carter's
because he didn't
was
have
the
the competition.
greatest show.
Right. It was
we've
kind
ever
of
seen.
It was kind of a one man.
It was a competition. Yeah, it was a one. It is.
Respectful.
Eventually, it became, because you got to think about Stephen Francis with the double pump one arm,
but then everyone's
backwards dunk, and
Yeah.
then T-Mac with the up in the air
Yeah.
between the legs.
Yeah.
And then, but eventually, it just was Vince
It became
Carter
a one man show for the next like 4
We just
dunks.
was even the people in the like, you got Shaq with the camcorder, you got Gary Payton on the side, Kobe there, KG there. Like it just became like, we just want to see what Vince Carter is gonna bring next.
Let's go home, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go home.
Then you got Kenny the Jet Smith with the Let's Go Home.
Let's go home.
Like I didn't mess around, been playing with it too much and drop the mic.
You got the Infinity Stones, man. You got to hold it up there like that.
It's cool. I'll just hold it.
Right.
But it definitely is one of those things where like it became a one man show, where that Zach LaVine, Aaron Gordon was like, that was probably one of the greatest back and forth since Mike and Dominique.
Ooh, yeah, since the 80s.
Or maybe even D Brown versus Sean Kemp.
Yeah, but the young folks don't remember that.
Nah,
hey, D Brown could get up, man. Though.
Right.
D Brown could get up, and
he always had my favorite dunk too.
Forgetting one too. Oh, he did.
Yeah.
Was it? He was the one with the.
That was the one. That was the one for me.
Don't forget Jamal Mashburn. No, not Jamal Mashburn. My bad, bro. They always look alike, man. It's like in the string, bro.
It's about Harry Miner?
No. Excuse me. Not Jerry Stackhouse. Oh boy. Jason Richardson. Excuse me. I'm sorry, man.
Yeah, I get it.
I went through like 3 ball dudes, man, before I got to
none of them dudes. None of them dudes in the dunk contest. I don't know what you talking about over here.
In the stream, no, but it's like Jason Richardson, bro. I'm gonna call you one mic holding the mic like that. You Nas, one mic. All I need is one mic, one voice, one stage.
All I need is one mic.
Oh man, we having fun over here, but that's what we do, man. We have fun. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I agree with you. I think what you were trying to say is and we're in agreement. We need the superstars.
Yeah, we just need the stars back in it.
Because what LeBron said, I know Skip Bayless talks about it and stuff, but he's right. People just know that he doesn't like LeBron, but he's right though. LeBron said, I'm going to do the dunk contest. I'm putting my name in. He's grabbed the mic. I'm putting my name in for the dunk contest in 2010. And he didn't do it.
Right.
Now, is he as a creative dunker as someone like a Jordan or Kobe? No. Sorry, LeBron fans. He's not. He has a tomahawk. He won
the high school.
In high school.
McDonald's All-American dunk.
A lot of people won the high school.
But if you watch that one,
yeah,
he won it off the strength of being LeBron.
Yeah, Mike Vick didn't really look impressed. I saw that. He's like, all right.
Yeah,
I'm going to throw this 10 up.
I'm just trying to figure out why was he even in it? Because wasn't it in Atlanta?
I think it was in Atlanta. He was a judge. There.
I remember him being a judge, but I was trying to remember, was it in Cleveland?
With that fresh number 7.
Yeah, with the braids.
Yeah, with the braids, man.
With the braids.
Yeah, but back on track is the fact that I remember he said he's gonna put his name in it, and that would bring a lot of viewership, a lot of talk, because MJ won it, Kobe won it, all these greats won the dunk contest, and these are some of the greatest dunkers of all time.
Some of the greatest wing players played.
Yeah.
Or participated in some of the greatest wing scorers.
Yeah.
Because then you have
absolutely.
I want to say you had a Dominique,
T-Mac.
you had a T-Mac, a Kobe, Mike. I want to say George Gervin was in a dunk contest too. So it's like your greatest Clyde Drexler. Then you got the big man that was flying. You got
Daryl
Dwight,
Dawkins.
you got Daryl Dawkins, you got Sean Kemp.
Yeah.
Like
So, but my thing is one thing with LeBron, because I want to give him some credit. If you talk about a ball off the backboard, he always has an array of those because he does those in the warm-ups, and he's
Yes.
athletic,
Right.
so he can do some things. I think he has done a between the leg dunk,
Right.
when he wasn't as heavy or something. I don't know.
I mean, he always been pretty heavy.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. Like
Yeah.
you know,
He's not as nimble anymore.
It's nimble. Excuse me.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's not as nimble
It
anymore.
made it sound like I was trying to say he was fat or something,
Right,
bro.
right.
Like, no.
I was gonna say he's always been pretty heavy. Because even in high school, like I remember them talking about he was 250 coming out of high school, and I was like, ain't no
They
way
did.
that boy 250.
The thing is, and like, see, if you look at LeBron, look at him from 03 to like from 03, 05, 06, and then one day 09 happened. I'm like, bro, you just got big, man.
Right, right.
Like, man, he got
It was
all
that
brolic on him.
that one of them last 2 seasons in Cleveland. I was
man,
just
this
like,
dude, what are you eating?
right. I was like, what is it like LeBron in Miami is
Right.
compared to
Cra-
how
it was
he
crazy.
looked compared to how he looked in that 07 season.
Yeah. But,
Like,
but those are the
that
good old
06
days.
season.
Them good old days.
What was-
Headband
no,
LeBron.
Yeah, headband.
Headband LeBron.
Yeah,
Yeah, people don't know, man. They know that 2018 Cavs LeBron, that was cold too.
right.
But that headband LeBron was a different breed. Different breed, man. But yeah.
But yeah, man, it's all good. We breezed through these topics today. So
Good topic. Fun.
there was some good topics, man. But make sure you follow us. We're gonna get up out of here a little early than the hour mark. But make sure you follow us, like, subscribe, YouTube, and our Facebook page, the He Say She Say channel. He Say She Say is all one word. Make sure you follow the Instagram page as well, J.U.K. Sports Show. Make sure you follow me on TikTok, Twitch, as well as Instagram at KYNGRALPH.
And you can follow me on Instagram at @the.house of hoops. Once again, that's at @the.house of hoops for NBA news, highlights, player, and team analysis. We got the NBA All-Star coming up. We got the NBA trade deadline coming up. A lot of different things, guys. It was a great show, Ralph.
Yes,
Always.
thank you.
Always.
Yeah, we got the All-Star game coming up, Super Bowl coming up.
Oh yeah, we can't
And
forget
then
the Super Bowl.
next week we're
Yeah.
gonna break down our top
Mm.
75 NBA players of all time.
With some guests.
We're doing that at 3:00 on Monday, February 8th, I believe.
I'll have to check that, but
Let
we'll
me-
have the date. Yeah.
Let me
'Cause
let me
I'm
go
on the
ahead and
Chromebook here, so the calendar thing doesn't actually pop
look
up
at the
right on the
actual
side.
calendar because I
Yeah, you gotta look at the
believe
calendar, not
it.
do.
Nope, it's February 7th
Okay. So right
at
at the Super
3:00.
Yeah.
We will be talking about our top 75 NBA players of all time.
Bowl.
Thank
Yes.
you all for watching, and we're out of here today. Peace.